Sometimes you have to be careful with the news you consume. There's a story circulating right now about the investment practices of the Vatican, in which the Vatican directly funds a grotesque piece of art, if you can call it that, which then caused a massive uproar among the faithful. That story is true, sort of, and it is outrageous, but be careful how it's spoken about and take care in getting the facts because the story is a little more complicated than what you're hearing. I'm going to try to clarify the story for you today and show you why it's a problem, but in the broader context of the practices of the Vatican when it comes to money that should be going to help spread the gospel and alleviate the worst kinds of poverty. And that part of the story isn't getting that much coverage. The story as it's being reported can be summed up in the reporting from Breitbart. I'll quote it directly, though I'll change one term they use to fit the, shall we say, mood of this platform. Quote, "The Vatican invested upwards of $1 million to finance the Rocket Man film, a biopic of singer-songwriter Elton John, with a graphic scene of the sin that cries out to heaven for vengeance. The Italian daily Corriere della Sera revealed this week that the Vatican's Secretariat of State invested last February in Lapo Elkin's eyewear and lifestyle products company, as well as the Elton John film, using money donated by the Catholic faithful through the worldwide Pence collections." End quote. The article goes on to recount how graphic the film is and that there's a history of bad deals the Vatican has made with the donations of the laity, which is something we'll get to here in a moment. The initial reporting makes it sound like the Cardinal Secretary of State's office called up some Hollywood producers and basically said, "Hey, James Martin said that I might find this project to be a faithful depiction of where we want to take the church. How much money do you need?" But in reality, that isn't what happened. Now, that doesn't make this acceptable, but I really want to caution people about taking the reporting of secular authorities all that seriously, given the secular world's hostility to the church. You might think that they're being hostile just to Francis, and in this case they are, but I guarantee you that these same outlets would treat a saner if still troubled pope like Benedict with contempt too, just on different issues. Just go do some Google news searches from like 2005 onwards and you'll see what I'm talking about. The important part of the story is something that was buried halfway in the article, long as people stop reading, statistically speaking. The investment was done by an investment firm, the Malta-based Centurion Global Fund, and they've handled other papal investments as well, including the development of controversial upper-class condos, the purchase of mineral and water rights, and other strange uses of Vatican funds, especially considering that we're talking about using Pence for investment purposes. According to the otherwise useless U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops, quote, "The purpose of the Pence collection is to provide the Holy Father with the financial means to respond to those who are suffering as a result of war, oppression, natural disaster, and disease." End quote. I'm not sure what any of that has to do with using a global investment firm based out of Malta, or why this fund requires being a permanent fund anyway, given that there are no shortages of natural disasters, migrant crises, refugees, or the persecution of Christians and vulnerable non-Christian groups at the hands of socialists and Saracens in various places around the world. Yet the money that is collected in a special, high-profile collection every year all over the world is being placed into the hands of an investment firm. Why? There's literally no reason when, objectively speaking, those funds could be used to fit in to do the corporal works of mercy that the collection is rather explicitly designed for. It's almost like this is all an act or something, and that money is what they really care about here. This is made all the more maddening when the USCCB reports the following on what I can only presume is the American collection of Pence. Quote, "The Pence collection has raised nearly $190 million to support our suffering brothers and sisters around the globe. Thank you for standing in solidarity with the Holy See through your generosity. Please continue to pray for our brothers and sisters in faith who are facing adversity." End quote. That's a lot of money, and frankly, it should be more money. Pence is one of those collections that we should all be digging deep to support. The problem is that we know it's been misused for a long time now. This isn't even the first video I've done on the abuse of Pence, which means that this is a relatively consistent problem in the contemporary church. The abuse of Pence is already becoming the stuff of legends. In just the past year, in addition to the story about the Vatican investing in upper-class condos in London, Breitbart reports on what the funds have been used for. Quote, "Through the fund, the Vatican became a 25% partner in Lapo Elkin's company Italia Independent, to the tune of €6 million, while more recently becoming a €10 million partner with industrialist Enrico Preziosi, the chairman of the Genoa soccer team. Along with the Rocket Man film, the Vatican also invested some €3.3 million in the production of the 2019 Men in Black international film, that movie tanked at the box office, featuring Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson. Perhaps more problematically, the Vatican's biggest investment, $16 million, went to the Swedish ABB company, which produces parts for nuclear power stations and allegedly participated in the destruction of a Malaysian rainforest. During his recent trip to Asia, Pope Francis said that nuclear power plants should be at least temporarily banned because of their destructive capability. Speaking at a press conference aboard the papal plane last week, the Pope reiterated his belief that not only the use but also the possession of nuclear weapons is evil, but then went on to propose a moratorium on all nuclear power. It's my personal opinion, but I wouldn't use nuclear power until it's completely safe, he said. Some say that it is a risk to the care of creation and that the use of nuclear energy must be banned. I'm drawing the line at security. End quote. Okay, so the Green Pope campaigns against nuclear power while investing directly in it. I kind of suspect that he hasn't any idea what this money is being used for, and that's a gigantic problem because the money of the church, with frankly his name on it, shouldn't be used to fund things that stand in opposition to the mission of the church. Now, I don't think nuclear power is against the mission of the church, but Francis, by his own words, seems to think so you'd think he'd put a stop to investing in the development of nuclear power plants. Of course, there has also been the consistent rumor that Pence's money was donated to the Political Action Committee of a certain presidential candidate in 2016 who was defeated against all expectations. If that is the case, then we have a much bigger problem on our hands, though proving that it happened will be difficult due to the shady nature of the American campaign finance laws. But I have to ask, is this a valid use of Pence? Not just engaging in political machinations. No, I mean, is it valid for Pence to be invested instead of being used to near depletion every year for the corporal works of mercy? I don't think it is a valid use of those funds, especially when we keep getting told Francis wants a poor church that has an Amazonian face. Maybe the Amazonians have nuclear power plants that power their home theaters and their condos where they watch Rocket Man and Men in Black, and it was all funded by the Vatican. But I kind of doubt it. Let me know what you think of this in the comments below. And if you know of alternative places to donate to, ones that are completely and unquestionably Catholic, email me links and info about them, and I'll do a video soon, since this is the season when nonprofits go asking for donations. And on that note, thanks to those of you who donate to and support the work of this channel. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you for listening. I'm Anthony Stine. Ave Maria.